The following presentation is brought to you through the paid memberships of NotaryStars.com, the only notary training platform and resource library with over 150 hours of training on every loan product under the sun. Together with our sister website, OnlineNotariesPublic.com, which focuses on notaries who are pioneering in remote online notary, we strive to give you a safe place to ask questions, get answers, gain confidence in your notary career, and achieve success without overfabricating the truths about our industry. If you would like to support us, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, sharing this video with a colleague, or becoming a member and trusting us to help you achieve the level of success you desire.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for spending time with us tonight and allowing us to be a voice along your path to signing agent excellence. This is where questions become connections, and we all have a chance to make our industry a better place. My name is Beth Hathoot, and this is Notary Stars General Mentorship. Today is Monday, October 23rd, 2023. This is a public training session. It's held every Monday, except holidays, at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 8 p.m. Eastern. And it's all about you, the nationwide Notary Signing Agent community. Please remember, if you're driving, this meeting is being recorded, and we would prefer, if you're watching live while driving, please keep your camera off and remain on mute. Keep your eyes on the road. We care about your safety and your well-being. You can always come back to our replays on YouTube anytime you wish. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll get notified when we post fresh new content, like the replay of this session. Ronnie will be posting the link to our YouTube in the chat, so you can subscribe today if you like. For those of you who aren't driving, we invite you to turn on your cameras. Hey, it's just so much easier to interact with all of you when we can see your faces. We have a special jot form questions to address tonight. And thanks everybody for your submissions. But if you aren't driving, turn on those cameras, show off those big smiles, and get ready to ask a question or share something you know with your colleagues here today. Don't be shy, don't be timid. All you have to do is get into queue virtually by raising your hand. Just use that raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. This is your time, and we want to hear from you. Two quick reminders. Access the chat feature and select to save a copy so that you'll have any conversations and all of the links that we'll be posting throughout the session. And don't forget that jot form that you can access to submit questions as you think of them during the week, so we can answer them live on the air. The earlier you get your questions submitted, the better chance you have of getting them answered during the live sessions. Try not to wait till an hour before we air. If we run out of time and don't have a chance to get to your question, rest assured we'll turn right around and answer them by email, so that you're just left wondering what the answer might be. If you are a member of the Notary Stars training site, then you also have access to our support line, where we can answer questions spanning all 50 states. So don't be shy. If you're a member, use that hotline. Mr. Ronnie, are you ready to get this party started?
I am. And I just want to say to everybody, we are moving into a digital age in this industry. Okay. And I see a lot of people still with their cameras off. We have currently 81. I know there'll be more as we get into the evening. I want to see you guys turn on your camera. You're going to have to get comfortable turning on your cameras and talking to people and interacting with them, whether you're asking a question tonight or not. We want to see you. Now, we know some of you might be cleaning your house, cooking dinner, getting the kids ready. That's okay. Come back to the Zoom feature, turn on that camera. Let's see you, because it's gonna get you practice for being on camera. And there's no better place, because on Zoom we can all use filters. I'm filtered to HE double hockey sticks in back right now. I got it turned all the way up. So at least on Zoom you can use filters, so there's no excuse here. But you want to get comfortable interacting with people on camera, and we're going to keep reminding you this. We've been reminding for several months now that you need to get comfortable turning that camera on. Also, there's a little bit of accountability to pay attention there. Even if you are cooking dinner, you got to look over. and see what's going on. So we respect the fact that you might be, cooking dinner or with your family at the moment, but let's get those cameras on and let's see your faces so that we can interact together tonight. And this is a judgment-free zone. Anybody that's casting judgment will be ejected immediately. So let somebody cast judgment. I dare you. I got the eject feature right here. So the next thing that I want to talk about is last week we had Laura Beaver on as well as Jen Neitzel, and they talked about the course that they have with Bill Soroka for the certified trust delivery agents, notary delivery agents. If you've taken that course, we have now added a special spot in Notary Stars, as we always do, for you to mark yourself self-identified. You can upload your credentials into your profile now, but you will be marked there for people looking for notaries who are also looking for anybody looking for trust signings or estate planning. I want to remind you that Signing Order also made an update where you can add this into your profile along with a slew of things that we sent out as an email earlier in the week. So please make sure that you mark yourself if you've taken the course and you're ready to go with these signings. Make sure you identify in your profile. It does make a difference, especially on Signing Order, Notary Stars, or any other site that's allowing you to mark any kind of training that you've had. Please make sure that you mark that. The next thing that I want to talk about, just two very brief announcements. On Thursday this week, which is October 26, 2023, we are having two events that day. Outside of our normal training for all the Notary Stars, we have two events. The very first one is Blue Notary is coming in, and we're going to talk about syncing your calendars as a Ron Notary. I have to tell you, I immediately reached out. I got my first Ron, I'm the marketing guy, right? Like if you haven't crossed over to the Notary Stars Plus marketing membership level, I'm the marketing guy. I got my first call for someone who was ready to do a Ron. They already read my website. They already knew what they needed to do, and I did it in 15 minutes or less. Blue Notary has a feature where you can sync your Calendly with putting an appointment on your calendar, which means you can say, I need bookings that are 2 to 3 days in advance or 6 hours in advance. You can pad time in between appointments. They have a whole feature where you can be a Ron Notary and kind of control how you get booked. You can say, I won't take appointments more than 14 days out or 7 days out. It's a really cool feature. And they're going to come in and talk to us about that. Now, in that session, I'm also going to be talking about, and we have a great question tonight, so I'll talk about this a little bit more. We're going to be talking about dynamic landing pages, and definitely something no other trainer in this industry will be able to teach you. Can't learn it on YouTube. Sorry. I am definitely the guy that can teach you this. I see a lot of my marketing students in the meeting tonight. They'll tell you, I know about dynamic landing pages. We'll get to that a little bit later, but we're going to combine that session to learn about it. If that seems above your head, don't be scared. I will make it very easy for you. I like to, start you out very slow, but you will want to attend the meeting if you're able to, or watch the replay. It will be a public event. And then we also have Delora coming in. So we've always made partnerships with insurance providers. And if you guys ever explore the Resource Center, which we have a ton of resources for the Notary Stars community, free and paid memberships, we have made a new partnership with an insurance provider who can provide you supplemental insurance or customized insurance. You don't have to go through the marketplace and pay full price. You can choose what's right for you. And I love to use this example. If you are a female and you are past the age of you're ever going to have a child, you don't need to pay for the insurance just in case you might get pregnant one day. You might just need major medical or certain things. When they sell you insurances out of a marketplace, you're just paying for anything that could possibly happen. But if you have an insurance broker that knows what they're doing, they know how to get you the insurance policy that will fit your lifestyle. A lot of you may have spouses that have your insurance, but you may be able to get a supplemental insurance. And every business owner should think about having insurance over their business. So those two events are going to happen on Thursday. And I hope that you'll attend once we get started. Now, Ms. Beth, I think we should get started on the questions because we only have so much time every day. Are you ready for the first question?
Sure. I had to unmute myself again.
There you go. So this one came out of a Facebook group, right? This was not ours, but you had saw this and you thought this would be something important for us to bring up. You saw that a non-Notary Star member said that they were not taking any more signings for borrowers who are over 7 years old because they had to keep making crossouts and initialing corrections. And they couldn't take a clean page out of the signer's package because they always had to print signer's packages on double-sided paper. I'd like to know what you think about this, Ms. Beth.
Well, first of all, I think ageism is in place here. Just because they're 70 years old doesn't mean you're going to have crossouts and corrections at the yin yang. So I want you guys just to stop thinking that an older person's going to be more difficult to sign. That's number one. Number two, geez, I would have not printed that package double-sided. I want those copies to pull a clean copy out of their package and have them try again. And maybe, just maybe, he was trying to rush this signing just a little bit. So maybe if he'd slowed down just a tad, there wouldn't be so many crossouts and initials. So I always tell you, don't print double-sided when you're leaving that copy with your signer. You want the option of being able to pull a clean copy out of that signing package and have them try again. Your goal is to send back as clean a package to title as you possibly can. And if you're printing double-sided and you don't have a printer in your car, you just kind of shot yourself in the foot. Ronnie, what do you think?
I have another take on this, and we're going to kind of go head to head on it. But that's okay, right? Because we all have different opinions, and this is what Notary Stars is about. By the way, guys, if you have questions about your notary career, get those hands raised virtually so you can get into queue. Sometimes you get left out because you don't raise your hand virtually. It'll put you into a queue here so that we can call on you. So while we're talking about the questions that were pre-written, go ahead and raise your hand virtually if you have something that you want to ask tonight. Now, my take on this is, first of all, I am so glad that the person who posted this is not a Notary Star member. Just saying, because you're right. They're practicing ageism and it's going out publicly. And I want to remind everyone here that what you put onto the internet can be screenshot and sent around the world in 2 seconds or less. Your career can be over and ruined before you know it. I don't even want to know how many blacklists could come up from someone saying like that. Here's how you handle that. I worked at a movie theater when I was in college, high school and college. And I ate so many nachos that I just can't have another movie theater nacho. Now, gourmet nachos, different story. But that movie cheese theater stuff that we get, I just want to vomit thinking about it because it's what kept me alive through college. But I just don't want it anymore. And if you don't want to do a reverse mortgage, if it's not your forte because it takes too long, there's too much to print, that's okay. You can look at the loan type and you can say, not going to do it. Now, some companies don't put what the loan type is, and that's your Russian roulette with working with signing agencies just to urge you to get your own business as well. But you absolutely, if you take an order for a reverse mortgage, you have to go through with it. If you didn't know what it was, that's on you for not learning how to read orders. You cannot discriminate against people. And, if someone calls you from the general public and you're open as a notary, you are a public servant. As a loan signing agent, you don't always get to pick and choose your orders. I think that was kind of terrible for that person to post something like that publicly. I feel sorry for them. My thing is about the double-sided documents. I agree with Beth. I would want the copies in case something happened. Don't cheat on printing the second set of copies for the signer. It's part of our job. Ask for more money if you need more money to print a large file. Reverse mortgages are larger. Ask for more. Explain why politely. And if they don't meet it, then it's not your appointment anyway. But you don't need to get bitter and go on the internet and start posting things. And I want to remind you guys, because this is fact, you have no idea how many notaries send me screenshots of what's in other notary forums just because they're like, see this. And sometimes I go and blacklist notaries because I'm like, I would never want to work with them. And if they're sending it to me, they are sending it to other signing agencies. Okay, so you just have to be careful with your etiquette or your netiquette out there. We've done tons with Carol Ray before she passed on netiquette. I want to remind you that the internet is not your friend. You may feel very safe there, you know, but anything that you post is really hard to take it back. As I found out when I sent out an email this week with several errors in it. Thanks for you, those of you that were polite to me, and for those of you who weren't, oh well, life goes on. Ms. Beth, I want to move on to the next question because I know we have quite a few. This one actually came in and it's state specific, but it says, can we accept a foreign passport as a valid form of ID for general notary work, such as divorce papers, where the signer doesn't have U.S. driver's license or any other U.S. forms of ID? And by the way, the question is for specific to Wisconsin.
Well, Wisconsin is one of those states that in my opinion has a terrible handbook. It's like 13 pages, and if you really want to know anything about Wisconsin law, you have to go to statute. But what it says in the handbook, it says a passport, vehicle operator license, or government issued identification card which is current or expired not more than 3 years before the performance of the notarial act. That's quote unquote, but it doesn't specify a U.S. or foreign passport. So when I actually read the law, it doesn't specify. It just says a passport, a vehicle operator's license. So in the law, it doesn't delineate whether it's U.S. or foreign. So yeah, she could take a foreign passport for sure.
Awesome. Now, I want to remind everybody, because that was a state-specific question, it's really important for you guys to always know your state laws on what you can take and what you can't take. And if you're having problems, if you're having problems figuring out what your state laws are on what ID you can take, contact us. Beth has what we call a crib sheet on all 50 states, where we've gone in and added tons of information that you probably are going to call in and ask questions about. And everybody on our team has access to that sheet, and we keep it up to date for you guys. So when you call in, we already have that information, and we can also provide resources on where you can see that information or get a second opinion on that. So always make sure that you are checking with your state. I see notaries at least once a month who take the wrong form of ID, and you know, Unlimited Ink is pretty thorough with our quality control checks. We see it once a month where a notary, where we call them and we say, you do realize that everything you did was illegal because you provided us like a Costco card or what have you, and it's just not a valid form of IDing a person, and that makes the entire signing not valid. We just had it a full-fledged re-sign because a notary took the wrong form of ID. So you have to know, as your first job is a notary, so you have to know your state laws and what you can accept as a notary. Ms. Beth, we actually have some hands raised for questions, and I want to go to some of their raised hands as well.
Okay.
And this one popped up while we were going over something, so we want to make sure that this isn't in relation to it. Miss Rosie, you have your hand raised there.
Just to go back to where you were talking about being blacklisted and being able to see comments that we put up. My question was, are we able to see what the signing services are putting up when it comes to? No.
No.
So you never know if you're doing a good job or a bad job.
I will tell you that it has to be a just reason in order for you to be blacklisted. So if you refuse to go back and correct an error, that's a notarial error, which is your job. That's a grounds for blacklisting. If you post something that says, you know, that you're going to, you know, refuse to service people over a certain age, that's a ground for blacklisting. And all I have to do is provide a photo of that, and then I don't have to explain myself any further. No one would want to work with someone who is, you know, ageist, racist, sexist, any of those things.
Right.
So
Right.
no, the notary doesn't get to see it, but we are working on a way. It's one of the features that we've requested. And by the way, I want to announce this, if anybody doesn't know, for the longest time, you can only see how many times a notary had been blacklisted by other companies within signing order. We pushed really hard to see how many times a notary could be favorited. And this changes the dynamics, because if you have one or two blacklists against you, but 27 companies love you, that speaks volumes, right? So now we can see how many times you've been loved and how many times you've been disliked. If you have 92 blacklists and 2 people like you, probably not going to be working at my signing company. But if you have 27 likes and 2 blacklists, I don't care about those blacklists. It could have been a bad day for your communication with a bad company. So don't get so hung up on the knowing the feedback. Now we are working on a way for you to be able to see your quality score. That's something that we're really pushing for.
Yeah.
I don't own signing order, but I definitely, since I process so much through them, I speak to them a lot and I give them a lot of feedback and suggestions on their development. So hopefully they'll listen to those. The whole being able to see the favorites thing, I definitely was one of the ones pushing for that. And it's already made a difference in how we're scheduling over at Unlimited Ink as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that question.
Miss Kirsten, she's got her hand up. Would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Okay, there we go. I wrote this into jot form, but I'm going to bring it up now. So what is the etiquette for doing a signing at a restaurant? And I'm not talking about Starbucks. I'm talking about like a Denny's or something where they ask you, they take you to their table. What is etiquette for that?
Yeah, and we did answer you by email, but we're going to address that for all of our 108 people sitting in the gallery. Your first consideration in signing at a restaurant is the fact that that wait staff makes their money off of tables turning. Okay, so you have to think in terms of you're going to be tying that table up for an hour, and you're also going to be doing it hopefully drink free and food free, because we don't want that possibility to get food or drink on those documents. So it's a kind of a conundrum. So here's what we wrote back to Kirsten. We find more often than not that the reason people want to conduct the signing in a restaurant is because they don't want you to see their home for whatever reason, right? Maybe they're hoarders, and maybe they have lots of cats or other animals. Maybe the home is somehow in disrepair and they think that we're a direct extension of their lender, and that we might see something unfavorable and report it back to the lender. Or sometimes they just don't want a stranger in their home. It's just that simple. So they will make these appointments at full-fledged restaurants. So during the conversation call, if I know that this is going to be in a full-fledged restaurant with wait staff, I always advise them it'd be easier if they don't order any food or drink until after the signing. I explain that I likely will need a good portion of the table for the signing, and I'm too good of friends with Murphy and don't want any food or drink to get on the documents, right? That kind of sidesteps the issue of me getting there, 15 minutes after they get there and they've already started to order. Please don't do that until after we get finished with the signing. Sometimes they will tell you, well, we're going to go early and eat, and by the time you show up, we should be finished eating. That's a little bit of a better scenario, but I've walked into those situations as well where I have to clear plates off the table and set them on another empty table rather than waiting for the waitress or the bus boy to come along and do that. That means I'm cleaning the table too, right? Because again, we got pancakes or something from Denny's. We don't want that syrup stuck all over the table. If you both get there at the same time or relatively the same time, or if the wait staff comes over and asks if you're ready to order, I usually take the lead and say something like, we have a little bit of business to conduct first or to get through first. And we'll let you know when we are ready. Thank you so much for your patience, because they're going to keep coming by. They're going to keep coming by. You might even say it could take up to 30 minutes, right? It's probably going to take longer than that, but we're going to give that wait staff some kind of time frame before we can even think about ordering food or drink. But thank them for their patience. After the signing is complete, I'll let them know that I have another appointment that I have to get to, even if I don't really. But my goal is to leave the table first, okay? And I always ask them, you know, if they haven't been eating before I got there, I ask them if they're going to stay to eat. If they say yes, I will offer to buy them their drinks, coffee or something, iced tea. If they say it's not necessary, I just thank them and go on my way. But if they say yes, that would be lovely. Okay, so I asked the server to come over. I'm going to let them order their drinks. I'm probably going to order something too, iced tea or something, because if I don't order, it's going to make the borrowers feel bad as well. So I'm probably going to order an iced tea to go or something similar. I'm going to pay that tab with a small tip. I'm going to let the borrowers deal with the server. It puts the server in a precarious position. We've sat there for an hour, their table hasn't turned, nobody's ordering anything. But I have to keep in mind and keep telling myself it wasn't me who arranged the appointment at Denny's. It was the signer, and it's really their responsibility to take care of the server. That's why I want to exit first before they do. You know that we can't buy their lunch and leave a tip and make money off of the assignment. So just do your best to kind of skirt that situation and leave before your signers do, to help push that server burden back onto them. That's typically how I handle it. Ronnie, do you have a different take?
No, but I do want to say something about this. So, I have spilt coffee and wine both on loan documents, and it is not fun. I will never forget the conversation about wine. It wasn't my wine, but you know, I was the one who knocked it over. It can happen. So I have learned in my years to ask everyone to move their drinks to the side and be very, very careful, because I let them know this is 150 pages or plus. We will have to re-sign them if anything gets on them, you know, so we're going to have to be very careful. I have had one notary that is a wonderful notary, probably one of the best in the country, but there is a little problem with them at times that they cannot adjust to situations, and they've been blacklisted several times. One of the reasons was the signer gets there and they're happy. They're buying their first home. They had ordered a beer. They hadn't even had a sip, and they needed to throw up their hands and cancel the entire signing. You can't be that way. If somebody's having a sip off of beer because they're celebrating buying a house and they want to sign their documents, let them. If it's been a hard day at work and they're not drunk and they want to sip on a glass of wine, unless they're pounding it down, they're not drunk. You're not the police. You are a notary. If they're in their full capacity, do not take law into your hands. You are a loan signing agent. Some people are actually really excited that they're buying a house, and your inability to pivot will come back to bite you. So you can be careful with drinks. You can explain to them, if you are in a bar, and this particular notary has thrown away signings because they were in a casino and it's smoking. I want to tell you, you're going to encounter pet hair. You're going to go into houses that you didn't even know had a cat. When you say you have cat allergies, do not go off the deep end. Your job is customer service. You chose to get into this industry. If you cannot pivot and it bowls you up that much, do not proceed with this career. Okay? It's just not for you, because you're going to encounter lots of things. However, we had someone write in recently that said, and I've had this happen to me, where they went into a hoarder's home where there was tons of feces all over the floor. I will never again. Okay. If it is not sanitary, if there is poop and pee and you have to walk through it and roll your bag through it? Absolutely not. We can conduct this signing at another time. That is health and sanitation. And anybody that would fire you or blacklist you because of that, that's really on them. And I don't want them as a client either. The first time that happened to me, I was so afraid to tell them that I didn't tell them until after. And they were like, please go home and take a shower. Like I had signings to do and I was like, I feel so gross. And they were like, please, by all means, go take a shower. We'll do your signings. We'll even pay you. We feel bad that you went through that. They didn't know. So if you go into a situation where it's that bad, and I don't mean cigarette smoke because you're at a casino signing or, you know, a hospital signing where people are yelling. I mean, if you go into a home that has poop and pee all over the floor because the person's being surgically removed from the sofa, which is what I went into, you have my permission, and I'm pretty sure the blessing of your title company not to be in that room. It's not sanitary for you to breathe it, and there comes a line. But if it happens to be at a bar or a restaurant, this is customer service, okay? So just remember that thing. Don't be the person that pushes the envelope just because you can. Be the person that's willing to help, but also there are sanitary reasons. Ms. Beth, are you ready to move on to Jacob out of Texas?
Absolutely, Jacob. Would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Okay, sorry. Thanks, Ronnie and Beth. I'm relatively new to Notary Stars. I actually took an order through Unlimited Ink and was heavily encouraged to come, so I did. Haha. My question is, I'm on demand notary with Notarize/Proof. I have clients from all 50 states, and even I've taken calls from people who are on airplanes. I notarize for anyone, basically. Don't take that too literally. But whenever I try to explain like the difference between an acknowledgement and a jurat and a verification, somehow I always kind of screw it up. And one way or another, I say, hey, this is generally what it says, like acknowledgement. This instrument was acknowledgement for me. It just says that you signed this, basically. Whereas a jurat is, you swearing or affirming that this is all true. I could go on. So I was just wondering, if you were talking to a signer and there's no notarial certificate on the document, how would you explain the difference between those three notarial acts? And I'm talking more specifically about Texas, but I think you could be a little more general than that.
It is not specific to Texas. It applies to all 50 states. So first, I want to tell you, Jacob, if you haven't been to our website, and or if you're not a member of Notary Stars training, there is a bunch of free stuff on the website. And one of those free videos explains to you certificates and what they mean. If you have a thorough understanding of what those documents or those notarial acts do, then you can come up with your own little script when you tell them. So if there's no notarial certificate on that, you just tell them it doesn't have a certificate. I need to add a notarial certificate to this. I can offer you an acknowledgement or a jurat, and let me help you decide which one you would like. You have to choose. I can't do it for you. An acknowledgement says you came before me and acknowledged you signed the document and did so of your own free will. A jurat, or verification upon oath, says I watched you sign it and you took an oath, swearing the contents were true to the best of your knowledge. That's all you have to say.
And Jacob, I do a lot of Ron's, and Bill is on here tonight. So Bill, if you want to chime in on this, I actually have gotten into the habit right at the beginning of Ron signings, joking with the signers, just letting them know to make them feel comfortable. It's hard to do when I'm doing this teaching, but it's easier to do when I'm in the moment. But I've trained myself to say, now, if you've never done a notarization online before, I just want to let you know there are going to be certain notarial acts where you're going to have to be placed under oath. And I said, and I'll let you know when that's going to happen. And I explain to them as I go through the signing, the difference between an acknowledgement and a jurat. And it seems to work really well for me when I'm explaining as I go the difference. And you're mostly going to be using acknowledgements and jurats throughout your Ron signings. And I explain to them, if you've never had a notary put under oath before, just so you know, it's been the law for the last 200 years. but now that we're all on camera, we're all gonna be, doing it the right way. And I always say, I may not be the most handsome man in the world, but I am way too pretty to go to jail. And I, let them know. And actually this week, and I talked about it in last week, and there's a moment on a lot of platforms where you can't see the signer, but you can still hear them as you're disconnecting, and it's processing everything. And as I heard it, as I closed that session, this was a banker, and he said, I couldn't see them, but I could hear him. And he told his client, he goes, I am never not going to use that notary again. He is so thorough. And so sometimes, and I was joking with him, just like I explained it to you. Bill, do you have any take on that as you're going through signings as well?
Well, actually, if you're on Notarize/proof, there is a script that they have for that specifically that kind of clarifies it. So you could just read that, and it states, the script reads, your document does not clearly state which notarization I need to perform, so you have a choice of two options. An acknowledgement is where I have verified your identity and you have willingly signed the document and agreed to its terms. A jurat is where I verify your identity and your willingness to sign, but you will also take an oath swearing or affirming the content in this document is true. So that's how they script it out for you.
Pretty close on the scripting, although I would say that it's missing a couple of key elements on that, because Bill, if we get into signature witnessing, which you probably aren't going to have as a choice for your signers, because usually that's something that the receiving party would be choosing. It actually defines those points. You acknowledged that you signed it, or I watched you sign it, and that's the difference.
Okay. We got about 20 minutes left, and I want to make sure we get all of these questions in. I'm going to go on to Jarissa from, I think it's Maryland there.
Yes. So quick question. What scanner, like portable scanner, do you recommend? Because sometimes I'm out in the field and I can't get back home to scan, or sometimes just, using your phone to scan takes a lot. I've been looking on Amazon, but what portable scanner do you recommend that I can just plug into my laptop and Zoom?
So I'm going to actually post our preferred scanner from our notary resources section. Now anybody in the chat can post what theirs is, but do look for the Notary Stars. The only scanner that I suggest is the Epson Workforce ES 400 or 500. I have so many notaries that have thanked me, and I just posted the blog or the resource section where we talk about those scanners. Those are the best scanners in the entire country. We also have the battery pack that was suggested by to go along with those for your printers and your scanners. So if you're a mobile notary, I can't attest to other scanners, but I will tell you that I have two of them now free. One for the car, one for the office. My favorite text message is, wow, I just got this thing and it was so fast it blew my hair back. It is worth the investment. They can go from $200 to $400, but I see people shaking their head that I know have those scanners. That's the only one that I personally would endorse. And you disappeared there, so you put your hand down, but I want to make sure we got the question answered for you, and you got that link in the chat. When there's this many people on the call, they move around if they take the hand down. So I hope that you got that answer in the chat there.
Yeah, she gave you a thumbs up.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on to, before we go to Jamie, I just want to address one of these quick questions. We had a question right in from David Merkatz, who is a raw notary down in Florida. And he wanted to know, I get maybe one per week, but how do I get more Ron signings? And not to delay the answer to your question, Bill has put out tons of articles under the resources section on how to expand your marketing for Ron. I really invite you to go and explore the community blogs at Notary Stars and read them. Bill puts a lot of work into it, and he is a full-time Ron notary. He doesn't do paper signings. That's why we hired him. He's been a raw notary for several years and he makes a great income doing it. He knows what he's doing. He's marketing and he teaches a class every Friday. I would say to go into there. Now on Thursday, I'm going to be talking about dynamic pages. I'm not going to teach you how to do them, but I'm going to be talking about what they are. For me, this is the best expansion that a raw notary can do. It's going to give you the furthest reach. So I'll be talking about that and introducing you to on Thursday. But I would start, Mr. David, with the articles on Notary Stars that are already in existence, and also definitely attend Thursday so that you can learn that additional step. And I'll be introducing you to something that you probably never heard of before when it comes to a website, but I will be teaching you how to reach further, because a website is only going to do so much for you, but a dynamic website is going to reach all over the globe if you want it to. So that's going to be the introduction to that on Thursday. And then Jamie, we're going to have you come up next.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome.
Thanks. I've been in one other meeting, so this is my second meeting.
Welcome.
Thanks. So I've been, I've done this about 3 years now, but only in the last 3 months, I've been moving this to where I'm doing this full time. And I ran into something where, this is the Kentucky specific form. I don't know if other states would have this, but it's the Kentucky Home Ownership Protection Center disclosure form. Like, it just lets them know about this resource available to homeowners in Kentucky, especially if they need like credit counseling, or like there's a fear that they might not make their payments. So that's a form that's in the closing packages. And, and I see it across the board, with closing packages. But last week, they both signed it, but only the wife dated it. I missed it. And when I was scanning, I came across that the date was not there. So I called the signers and I was like, I'm so sorry to, bother you. Is it possible for me to come back out so that you can date this? He really didn't want me to do that because, he told me, well, you just date it, which I told him I can't do. And eventually he did let me come back. But after I left, he had said that he was going to mention it to his lender, that, that he was just kind of annoyed with it. And I just wouldn't know what else to do in that situation.
Jamie, I'm going to talk before Miss Beth, and Miss Beth, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I will not date your documents for you. It can happen to anyone. I start all signings letting them know. Just so you know, this is a lot of paperwork. I'm going to double check and triple check before I leave the table. After I leave the table, if anything's caught, I will need to return to you. And I will not send a package knowingly that you haven't dated. So if you don't want your loan, I will not send your documents if you ask me to date for you. If you want the loan, you will date the document. That is, I will send, and I would let the title company know I will send everything back but this document, because I will not date it for them. That is called forgery, and you can go to jail. You never know what the document is, and maybe that's a simple form that you could date, right? It's not notarized. Maybe you could have dated, but title has a correction agreement. If they refuse for it, I would actually pat you on the back if you were one of my signing agents that were at my table and you said, listen, I need to get this corrected. I've actually hid in the bushes for someone very similar. I'm not kidding you. I hid in the bushes outside their house to get an initial one time, because she works at Grand Canyon University and she teaches English. I'm just going to let you guys know who she was. Because it happened. I had to wait outside her house and she had been there the whole weekend. Here I am in my little Dodge Caliber, trying to be all camouflage inside the bushes. And she's like, I'm not home all weekend. I'm like, you are. I spent my entire weekend chasing it, but I refused to add someone else's date or initial for them. That is forgery. Okay. And all it takes is one technicality for that to come back on you. So I'm proud of you for not dating for them. I've seen notaries that do. We just had one recently where a notary dated and signed the witness as her daughter, who wasn't even at the table. We had to call a reminder. That's forgery. Now you have to go back, and now you're not getting paid because we have leverage on you not to pay you. So we can either turn this in that you committed forgery on a deed.
Yeah.
Or inconvenience the signers for this whole hoopla. We have to give them a courtesy signing. That's why they're not getting paid, because the signers were really put out that the notary would do that. So I'm proud of you for sticking to your guns. And If they want to tell the lender, that's great. And if the lender ever calls you, I'm sorry, but I can't take documents for signers. That's as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, I felt bad because, you know, like I said, I'm really trying to do this full time now. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, barely into this and I'm already getting complaints.
Listen, people are going to try to make you feel bad about what you won't do for them. Signers, title companies, and lenders alike. I get it every single day. I own a multi-million-dollar company. If they don't like how you run your business and that you're doing it the right way, they're not your client. Go for the clients that will respect you. And guess what? You only have to sign with this signer one time. You can make a personal blacklist that you'll never conduct a signing for them again. If you pick it up, just say, listen, the last time this person was not so nice to me, I don't want to sign for them again, because you will have multiple refis from the same people, but you can create your own little blacklist. I'm sorry, I can't service this client. They were, you know, they asked me to do something illegal the last time and I just won't work with them.
Right.
So you have that kind of power. I mean, unfortunately, it's already done and you had to get it done, but don't ever let someone pressure you, and you will develop your own client list, every single one of you. Okay. Never let somebody pressure you to commit fraud or do something that's not within your scope of business. I don't care who it is. No one out there controls your future but you. You make that decision to cross that line.
Yeah, and truth be told, Jamie, he's probably gonna call his lender and complain, and his lender is gonna sigh in the background and say, you have been difficult from day one. And I'm just gonna say, yeah, okay, and you'll probably never get a black mark for something like that, I guarantee you.
And, you know, just to top it off, one of my biggest clients, and those of you in Arizona have definitely worked for Pioneer Title Agency. The escrow officer that got us in with all of those offices used to work for Fidelity. And the first 3 times I worked for her, I missed initials, I scanned and I found something and I would go back. And the 3rd time I was like, I know you're probably never going to want to use me again because I was scanning and I found this and I had to go back, and if the customer complains. And you know what she said? This is exactly why I'm going to use you again, because you get it done so I don't have to call you. And so just use that as an example, because I just knew this one was going to fire me. She gave me 40 offices throughout the entire valley.
Oh, wow.
So, and that all started from doing my job right and getting it done and finding things and triple checking my work. That built a relationship. So
That reminds me of what the late Carol Ray used to say. It's not the mistakes that they're gonna remember you for. It's gonna be the mistakes that you run and jump and fix for them.
Okay. All right. Well, then I feel better. Thank you so much.
thank you for bringing that. It took a lot of guts to say, hey, I made a mistake, and I want you guys to feel very comfortable here. If you ever make a mistake and you need to talk about it, this is a very safe place. We learn from our mistakes, because we, as Notary Stars, we learn from our mistakes, we move forward, we become better for it.
There you go.
Agreed. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You want to do jot form, or you want to take a Miss Anissa?
Miss Anissa is one of my most favorite people on the planet, so we're going to go with her next.
All righty.
That woman works her rear end off. Oh, I just muted you when you were unmuting. Go ahead.
Okay, I went to a home the other day. It was a GNW, a general notary work assignment. And now that marijuana is legal in this state, what do you do when you walk into a home and you smell marijuana all over? Like, what do you do? I mean, I don't know that the signer had been smoking. He didn't look like it, but you know, I don't know what glazed eyes look like, but he had friends in the house and it could have been them. So what do you suggest?
I suggest, unless your signer seems impaired, not able to sign documents, it's business as usual.
Yeah.
I used to own a vacation rental company who had over 500 vacation homes, a lot of them in the same buildings in Los Angeles. And we had people come from all over the country and they would say, we smell marijuana. And we'd be like, welcome to LA. I feel like I'm saying that now in Arizona, like, welcome to Arizona. You know, I walk through my neighborhood. I guarantee you, while I'm having my morning coffee, my neighbor is having his morning joint. And then I see him get into the car and drive to work. It doesn't seem to affect him that way. And, you know, he actually just did a photo shoot for me for our website. And I'm pretty sure he came in after smoking a joint. Some people, it doesn't affect them that way. You know, so, you know, for me, you guys will know it. If I take one puff, I'm gone for 8 hours. But, it's business as usual unless they seem impaired. It's the same thing as a glass of wine. There are people, I know there's people on this call that could smoke an entire blunt and be completely fine and do a notarization, and you would never know it other than the smell that
Right.
they had smoked marijuana. So if you smell it, I always like to use the joke like, something smells good in here. And then go for it. But unless they seem impaired, you can't really stop the notarization. Now, if
Okay.
you're smoking it in front of you, that is a completely different story.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and don't accept any brownies from them.
I mean, accept them, Miss Anissa, because we're in the same city. You just, I'll pay you a courier fee.
Thank you.
I'm not even gonna lie that I'm a real person over here. Okay, Miss Eva, you are up next.
Hello, everyone.
Hi there.
Ronnie, I want to go back to the animal thing.
Mhm.
I am afraid of cats. And when I call her to confirm my appointment, I introduce myself, tell them who I'm calling, representing, and then I ask them if they have animals.
Mhm.
Dogs, I'm okay as long as they don't jump on me. Cats, can't do a cat at all, okay? I get to the house, doing the closing, and you know how you see something run across the floor,
Mhm.
and you know it ain't no rat. And you ask them, do you got a cat? Oh, yeah, I do have a cat. I asked you on the phone, did you have any animals, cats? Mainly because I'm afraid of cats. I mean, I'm terrified of a cat. And I had one client say, well, it's just a cat. It's okay. No, I'm afraid of a cat. So she said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, can we go outside and do the closing? Because I cannot get comfortable. And I don't want to make no errors on the docks if I could prevent them. She said, okay, that's fine. But she had an attitude. So once we got done with the closing, she said, are you that afraid of a cat? And I said, yes, I am. Then she wanted to take me through all this history. I mean, was I wrong?
So, Miss Eva, this is a hard question, right? Because you're sitting in your shoes, being afraid of a cat. And then the signer is sitting in their shoes, being a cat lover. So you have two very contrasting point of views, okay?
Okay.
If you had anaphylactic reaction to cat hair, I would say that it's very important for you to say that. If you confirm with your cats, with your signers, listen, I have a phobia of cats. And if you have a cat and I get there, it'll freak me out. I would say that if you have such a deep rooted fear of cats, okay, then
Mhm.
you need to make that clear. And if they have a cat, then maybe you need to turn it back to the signing service. But I will tell you, if you can't get over that fear, you're probably going to have signing services that turn away from you over the years. If I had a signer complain that you were just afraid of cats, I probably wouldn't call you again because so many people have cats out there. I'm just being honest with you. I love you. You've been part of this community for a long time. I would not say something that I didn't think was true, but I really
Mhm.
believe if you couldn't get over that, if it caused a problem with the signer, I probably wouldn't call upon you again.
Mhm. Now, what by me asking her up front about a cat, and
If
and she asked me, I mean, to go outside. When I asked to go outside, she had no problem with it, but she did. I mean, even if I would ask to leave the outside, inside, and I won't do it in the wintertime, but it was a nice day outside. She had a nice porch with a table on it. I mean, would it be the same thing?
I think most cat owners are going to be like dog owners. Like when someone comes to my house, my dogs are always put away. I don't take risks with them. I always let signers know if your animals seem to, chew or attack, I'd like for you to put them away, for the duration of the signing. I've never had a problem at a signing with a dog or a cat attacking me. Again, I do have that, but I don't tell them that I would have to sign outside. I mean, in Arizona, I can't do that. It's 125 degrees at the hottest part of the year. If they have an animal, either you're going to have to get over it or you're probably going to lose some business. And I'm just being honest. If it was a anaphylactic cat hair reaction, And I have to share the story. When I was in my 20s, I was dating someone and I really wanted to date them. And they had told me I'm severely allergic to cats. And I had 3 cats and I didn't want to tell them. So I put the cats in the bathroom for the duration of the date. And about 20 minutes into it, I had to take them to the hospital because it was seriously that bad. They were like, "Do you have cats in here? I can't breathe." And they didn't even know I had cats. So I felt really bad about that. But looking on that relationship, maybe I don't. But if you had like an anaphylactic reaction to cats, I would probably say that that's justified. But if it's just and I'm not calling it irrational because all feels irrational. But if you're making your signers sign outside because they're a pet owner, I would say it's probably going to cause you problems for business in the long run.
Okay.
You may want to do some cognitive therapy with getting used to cats and understanding what cats are and why people have them. A lot of people have them for comfort and love and joy, not for because it's going to do something bad.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
That or you can watch them run around and like the Three Stooges trying to catch that cat and then they can put it away.
We have 2 more questions, two more hands up and 1 question on the jot form. One of them kind of leads into the last, Miss Beth. I'll highlight the one that's the last one because it kind of leads into the final statements for tonight. So I'll go ahead and answer this one off the jot form and then we can get the 2 hands that are raised. We had somebody write in and say, "I'm noticing numerous debt settlements options in my local area, but I'm hesitant to proceed because of mixed reviews I've seen online." So you're going to hear different things amongst different communities. I have a wonderful debt settlement or debt consolidation company that works with us. I see people shaking their heads. They've done tons of them for them. My client actually has a script that we wrote when we partnered with this company that says, "I am not an employee of this company, nor am I working," and see somebody just held it up. "I'm not working as I am just a notary." As a notary, you can notarize anything that's brought to you, okay? If you have a debt settlement company that wants you to say, "I'm an employee" or "I'm a representative," no, you're not. You can't say that in a loan signing. You're a notary and you do not work for a debt settlement company. So someone had posted, in our Facebook group, "I can't in good conscience assist with any of those or reverse mortgages." Again, be careful where you get your advice from. Facebook, we call it Facebook University. People may be steering you away from business. And that's not because I work with a debt settlement company. That's because I work with a good one, or a debt consolidation company. I work with a good one that actually cares about its customers and the notaries working for it. There may be bad ones and bad signing agencies that don't know how to marry their clients with their notaries. So yes, use caution to the wind when you're doing that. But for the notary who posted in good conscience, "I can't assist with those or reverse mortgages," be careful who you're listening to. If you may be listening to someone that's going to put you out of business, and just be careful. Facebook is not where you should learn your information. You can post questions and interact with people, but you want to go to respected sources to get your answers for things like this, like Notary Stars or Sign and Thrive or what's TNT Notary, and any public forum like this where people can ask questions. And Facebook, you're going to get a finite amount of responses, and it's usually the blind leading the blind. At Notary Stars, we try to police our Facebook group, but we do all of our training literally live. Miss Melissa, you've got your hand up there.
Yes, it was going back to when we were talking about signing at a restaurant. Even at the coffee shops, I went and they were like assuming that I was going to buy them coffee. So out of my signing service pay, I had to spend $12 and buy them coffee. But I didn't know if anybody had ever encountered something like that, where they were like, "Well, we only have this much on our card." And, I just felt bad. So you buy it, but they don't know I'm just a notary. They think I'm representing the company, I guess.
No, you're not there to buy them coffee. I know Beth said that she, has offered to buy, a round of drinks or things like that, but I will tell you, one of my things that I do is I try to speed up signings during the day. So sometimes if I want someone to go a little bit earlier, I'll call them and say, hey, I'm on my way to Starbucks. Would you like me to, grab you a drink? Just text me your order. And that kind of gives me a reason to show up earlier to an appointment. But if they choose a restaurant, they should be able to afford the restaurant. And no, I'm not there to buy you drinks. I'm there to sign your paperwork. And I know that we're trying to respect wait staff, but we are public servants. So if a police officer goes in and sits with a cup of coffee for 3 hours at a restaurant, no one looks down on them. And I'm not a police officer, but I am definitely serving the public. So no, I'm not there to buy drinks. And I'm sorry if you want to look that way, but I'm not going to take the responsibility of buying drinks. I don't even buy a drink for myself. If I do, it's a Coca-Cola. I usually buy it before they arrive because I get there before them. If you feel courteous enough to do that, then I think you can, but I'm not personally going to pick up the tab for a table, especially if there's multiple signers.
Yeah, I'm the same way at a Starbucks. I always try to plan it so I get there first. I order my drink and I'm done spending money. I'm not, making any ovations to buy them a $8 cup of coffee, right?
I usually never buy myself a drink, and that day I did. So I think that kind of, if I didn't have one, I think I won't buy one next time myself, so they won't see it there, knowing that I'm not having a drink too or something.
Yeah, and you can still use that same guise that says, hey, let's not order drinks until we get, the paperwork out of the way and then have at it. So by that time you could say, I am off to my next appointment. Thank you very much. And see you later, right? So you're not drinking, they're not drinking. And then you go through the drive-through. All right. One more question on a hands up. This is from, looks like Wisconsin. Septima, did I say that right? All righty, you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question? We're running a little bit over time, but I want to get some of these guys with hands up. Go ahead.
So I was just wondering, because I'm new to the business, the industry here, trying to figure out the training, which one I need to take. I want to do strictly remote signing. I did some loan signing training as well already, but I'm trying to figure out, do I need to go to the Notary to Pro training or the Notary Stars training, or do I need them both? And if so,
I don't know what Notary to Pro has in terms of RON signings, remote online notarizations. So I can't even recommend that to you. I do know that we have a full remote online training instructor here at Notary Stars, and tons of pre-recorded videos and live sessions on Friday. So, I'm going to plug my own, but if I knew anything about Notary to Pros program, I could help you, but I don't. Does anybody have any experience with Notary to Pro for RON trainings that are in the gallery that can comment? Yeah. So what I know about Notary to Pro, we partnered with Notary to Pro up until Miss Carol passed away. Their program was taken over by her son, Michael. I don't know if they've even done any updates on the contents. It was 10 years old at the time she passed away. So unfortunately, I just can't give you any advice on the RON program if they even have one.
Miss Beth, I just want to chime in on this question. Guys, I'm kind of on a support call, so I'll be back in just a moment. Miss Beth is covering this, but I do want to say this for everyone. Carol Ray is the grandmother of all signing agents, okay? I don't care if the course is outdated. There was something in the Kool-Aid at Notary to Pro that taught notaries how to be professional signing agents. Notary Stars is a continuing education platform. I worked very close with Carol on what I could do and what I could add in for more training. But I want you guys to know that you should take both. And not just our courses, but Carol Ray, truly, before any of us even had signing agent as a twinkle in an eye, was training notaries. And I do not want that course to die. I do not want that legacy to go away. She was the kindest person in the entire world. And in her course, you're going to learn how to be a wonderful human being as well as a signing agent. So don't let that course die. Sure, there's going to be updated, further training, more training, but there is something there that there is a common thread that she puts in all signing agents that you just need on your resume. And there are still hundreds of companies that look for her logo. And that's not going to change anytime soon. That's the kind of legacy that she left on this planet. So I just wanted to, make sure, because I could not let that question go without saying that. And that's the truth. Okay.
Yeah, Laura Hinton said that she's going through the training. She doesn't believe Notary to Pro has Ron specific training, which was her question. So there you go.
Okay.
Right.
And then one other question. I'm sorry. With Notary Stars, for the training, do I take because I want to get some exposure. I don't have any, of course, I'm new. So should I do the Notary Star Plus marketing?
Santima, I'm going to tell you, we have a very similar question right for the end. And
Okay.
and your question's perfect timing because we have one more question before you. I'd love to do all of that at one time, right at the end.
Okay.
So I'm going to put that on hold for right at the end so that we can answer that all together.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your questions.
Okay, one last question in the gallery, Mr. Michael Shimon. Do you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, it's Shyman. But anyway,
I was close.
you kind of stole a little thunder. I trained with Carol Ray, and she told a story one time where I personally try to avoid having drinks out, and it's because of Carol's story. She said she, with 30 years experience, over 30 years, went and did a signing. Then she got a call from escrow and said, Carol, you got to go back. There's 20 pages missing. She said, what are you talking about? I'm a 30-year professional. There can't be 20 pages missing. I said, no, there's 20 pages missing. You got to go back and re-sign. So she went back, did it, sent the docs in. About a week and a half later, another girl from that escrow office called her and said, oh, did you ever hear what happened? And she said, no. She said, well, when the docs came back, the receptionist opened them up, spilled her coffee on the docs, threw them away, and blamed you guys not knowing how experienced you were. So
it happens, yeah.
So when I heard that in my initial training, I said, okay, that's it. No liquids. So when a liquid situation comes up, and maybe this will help Melissa, that I just say, hey, can you, hold off or wait? And sometimes I've told them the story, and then they go, oh, okay. And then that just clears it.
Yeah, I am real shy that any liquids or food on the table that could damage the documents. I just don't even want to give it a chance because
exactly.
Yeah,
that's it.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Mr. Mickle?
We have one final question for tonight. This was written in on the jot form, and it leads into my final thoughts for tonight that I'd like to leave you with. And it said, should we get certified with the NNA or NSA and Notary Stars? The National Notary Association should not call their test certified signing agent. Anybody on this call that's taken it will tell you that it did not prepare you to become a loan signing agent, nor did it prepare you to become a mobile notary. Look around, turn on your camera, shake your head if you agree or disagree, but it does not. I started Notary Stars because I wanted advanced training, and Carol Ray was already there. And I partnered with her, and I gave tons of notaries a discount for taking her course years ago when she was alive. And I wish I could do that now, but I don't own the company. You should take every training course that you possibly can take. You're going to learn something from every course. In Carol's course, I think that she teaches you how to come from a loving place to run your business and how to think like a loving professional for your signers, for your title companies. It's something that you can't buy. I mean, you can buy that, but You have to interact with her. I don't teach you that. I'm very abrasive. Anybody who knows, I'm abrupt and abrasive, and I'm proud of who I am. I got to talk to Carol before she passed away, whether she heard me or not. And I promised her I would take her love and kindness into the next generation. And I'm going to keep that course alive as long as I can. So I think you should take every training course, even the ones I don't like. And there are some that I don't like or believe in, and I don't mention them because I don't, but you should take every one. Now at Notary Stars, we offer over 150 hours of training on every loan product under the sun through previously recorded videos and something that no one else does, in live training. So if you watch those videos and you have questions, you are able to pop into a live class and ask a real trainer. My marketing course, I was initially very abrasive, saying I don't want to do marketing because I want to teach notaries how to do it, but I finally opened it up. I own a multi-million-dollar company. I'm not bragging, not trying to put a target on my back. I take a salary like everyone else, and everything else stays in the company and pays notaries and employees and lights. I'm not living a lavish life over here. Notary Stars is my passion project. I get my paycheck from Unlimited Ink. I don't take any money from Notary Stars. It goes into more training, expanding the site, in development, all of those things. Notary Stars is for notaries who are striving for excellence. And the only way to get to the level that I'm at owning a signing agency is to be excellent at your job. I don't care if you want to make $3,000 a month, $500 a month, or $15,000 a month. The only way you're going to get there is to know what you're doing in the documents. If you don't know that, you have no goal in front of you. There's no goal without excellence, okay? So we've been in business at Notary Stars going into our 5th year. So we're going to say happy birthday for 5 years now. We have processed 10,000 of the 65 to 75,000 actual loan signing agents out there. And it is my goal to reach every single notary out there and give them adequate training. I am sorry, but 10 hours of notary training and a whole bunch of you can make 6 figures is not going to cut it. I'm not going to be your cheerleader. I'm not going to tell you how much you can make, but I will teach you how to do this job. And this job for me, I grew up with cockroaches crawling all over me and no food in the cabinets. And I struggled my entire life until I found this industry. And I learned as long as you know what you're doing, people will keep calling. So I don't know what your story is, but I will tell you that my story is I protect this industry with education. I protect what we're doing by doing it right. And you can have whatever life you choose to live. I made an accident by opening this company. I just kept doing it right and people kept calling, and then I couldn't service it by myself anymore. And so I just hired more and more and more and contracted more and more and more. But it all started with education and learning and trying to learn as much as I possibly could. Now, I want to say this. I sent out an email this week, and for everybody here, if you're brand new to Notary Stars, for years, I've done 50% off your first month, 50% off, a year. We're not doing that anymore. I'm in 5 years, I've done 10,000 notaries, and there are people charging triple what I charge for Notary Stars under the roof. We have everything from how to build a website to how to do the loan documents and every loan product under the sun. Nobody else can offer that. We have a year commitment. You can get 30% off, and this will be the last year we offer 30% off. We have some secrets coming in the new year, but I will tell you, being a Notary Star member in the next year is going to mean something, and I will leave you with that. I sent out the email. The code is Signing Agent Excellence if you want to upgrade. If you have a previous Notary Stars discount, here's how it rolls. You get that 30% off this year. You are grandfathered in. As long as you remain a Notary Star, you will never pay more. And if the price goes down, you will pay less. I grandfather everybody into their rates, and I will. And that will only change if I leave this office feet first. Okay, and you know what that means, right? I'm dead. Then whoever owns it after that can do what they want to. But I am building a community here that really cares about what they're doing. They care more about what they're doing than the money. And I will tell you, If you want to know the best business advice from any notary trainer out there, I did not get to where I'm at because I took a course. In fact, I have never taken any of the courses, including Notary to Pro. I did my research the hard way. I got on forums and I dug through BS and notaries bickering back and forth about the right answers and contacting escrow officers and taking them to lunch. It took me, I've been in business for 15 years, and it took me until maybe 4 or 5 years ago for it to come to where it is now. And I've taken my brain, Beth's brain, who's been doing this for over 20 years now, right, Beth?
Yep, 22.
Travis's brain, who was a lender, and now Bill Bunkery. We have uploaded our entire brains into the internet for you to watch the videos and download it into your brains to shorten that learning curve. And so if you want to save money on your memberships, we went up on pricing last year. This is the last chance to really save. I'm not going to offer 50% off anymore. Maybe on the first months, but definitely not on annuals. And I only do annuals once a year because it never fails. It creates a bottleneck for billing when notaries go, I didn't know this renewed. It is an annual renewal. And so if you'd like to save, that special is going to be running from now until the end of the year. I would love to create more Notary Stars, and we're there for you literally from 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time until 11 p.m. Live phone support. The NNA will only talk to you about notarial certificates. We talk to you about actual loan documents. The only thing that we ask is you take the course before you start using the live support. But there's not a person here that won't tell you that we don't pick up the phone, that we don't write you right back. And a lot of people are shocked that even I call back when you post a question via email. We don't leave you hanging. We are here for you. That's why our whole thing is based on friends. You know, I'll be there for you. So if you're looking to grow your notary career, I promise you, we are here for you. And for those of you that are Notary Stars, I can see a lot of the Notary Stars in the background here. You can definitely tell who the Notary Stars are because they have their little star in the background. I thank you for trusting us, but please tap someone on the shoulder and let them know about this community because we still have a long way to go. 10,000 of 65 to 75,000 notaries. There are still notaries out there that are walking blindly. And I ask for your support this year to make this community grow. There are big, big surprises, and I wish I could tell you, and I know that there's like 5 people here that know. Being a Notary Star is about to mean something bigger than you ever thought it could mean. And I will leave you with that tonight. And I'm going to ask that all of you here, unless you are naked or stuffing your face with a sandwich right now, please turn on those cameras and let's do our signature wave. I look at this as like going to church. You know, every Sunday you kind of walk around, shake hands, give somebody a hug. Please turn on those cameras and wave to yourself if you come back to watch the replay. Wave to another notary on the screen. Wave to the future notaries that are going to be watching this video and make them feel welcome. Miss Beth, how do we really say it here at Notary Stars?
Everyone is in the same storm, guys, but not everybody is in the same boat. Some have yachts, some have canoes, and some are just dog paddling. So be kind and help whoever you can. Reach back and grab the hand of that notary next to you and bring them along with you on that journey. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
Have a wonderful night, everybody. See you next Monday and this Thursday.